Hello. In the previous video, we have considered some of the characteristics of this industry and we have understood how mobile service providers earn their money and we have understood some of their costs and we have considered the factors which affect the profit margin of any given service provider. In this video, let us take the profit margin in the context of different key issues that the industry is facing right now and delve a bit deeper using one of my term papers. Okay, the contents for this video would be the trade-off between rural area and an urban area with respect to teledensity, the issue of mobile number portability and its impact on competition. Given this high intensity competition scenario, what are the diversification strategies of telecom service providers? Let us look at the key issues that we are facing one by one. Teledensity. The government has a policy that everyone in India should have access to telephone. It need not, please note the usage of word access. They're not saying everyone should have a telephone, but everyone should have an access to telephone. By access, they might have probably even meant something like STD booth as well. There is a difference between urban and rural area with respect to teledensity. Let us look at this. If you look at number of users per square kilometer in an urban area, it would come to somewhere around 4,000 people. Whereas in a rural area, it would be somewhere between 200 to 400 people per square kilometer. Now, why are we considering per square kilometer here? Let me explain. A cell phone tower would cater to a radius of 5 kilometers generally. And so, a service provider would be happier if more number of subscribers are present within this 5 kilometer radius so that he does not have to go on and establish a new tower. If you consider the urban versus rural scenario, urban being a very dense region, more number of subscribers can be catered by a single cell phone tower than in a rural area where lesser number would be catered, primarily because the density in that region is small. The population density is small. And if you remember the average cost per user, which is fixed cost plus variable cost into number of users divided by total number of users. Given that there are more number of users in urban area and given that the variable cost is very small, a service provider generally finds it more profitable to invest in building a new tower in urban areas. And so you might have noted that urban areas have a very high teledensity of around 85, whereas a rural area have a very low teledensity of around 20 to 25 people out of every 100. Now, in the current scenario, given that the total number of urban users have almost saturated and almost wherever you could have installed a tower, a service provider has already installed in an urban region. Now, the only growth opportunity within India is in the rural areas because, of course, there is demand. Of course, people are able to pay for it, The competition in rural areas is of course not as high as it is in urban areas. And so rural is going to be the next place where these service providers are going to install their towers. And another important aspect that you need to know with regard to mobile penetration in India is network effects. This is simple. Mobile being a device through which you communicate with people, you would find it beneficial if more number of your friends own a mobile. And so the penetration of mobile would be somehow like this. Initially, people would buy only to show off that, I have a mobile. This is a status symbol for me. And after some time, after a few people have bought and made it a status symbol, that is, after a critical mass has reached, then some other person might find it more useful to buy a mobile because quite a few of his friends have already bought a mobile. And so the number of people who would own a mobile would rise exponentially. And after some time, it would get saturated because most of the people who could afford a mobile have already bought it. If you relate it to the Indian scenario, the critical mass was reached somewhere in the mid-2006 or early 2007. And from then on, you could see that there were around 1 crore people who were added to the subscriber base per month. That's where network effects have started to kick in. And of course, high competition has also played its part in more number of people switching to mobile phone usage. And another key issue that we have to consider in this scenario is mobile number portability. Well, mobile number portability is nothing but, if you want to change your service provider, in the present scenario, you have to change your phone number as well, and you have to change it according to whatever number your new service provider is going to give to you. If this comes into play, mobile number portability, what would happen is, even if you change your service provider, your mobile number is going to stay with you. And with this, if you remember, we talked about switching cost in the earlier video. Switching cost, and so with mobile number portability, the switching costs have been eliminated, and so people would prefer those service providers who provide the best quality of service or who give the best utility to this subscriber. And so that would straight away impact on competition, because till now a new entrant is wary of the switching costs of the subscriber. But now, given that mobile number portability has come into place, there is no more switching cost and more number of service providers are going to come to India, and with that an increase in competition. Let us talk about the diversification strategy at the end of this video.